For this assignment, I'm going to be talking about the effects of childhood abuse on cognitive development. Cognitive development refers to transitions in youngsters' patterns of thinking, including reasoning, remembering, and problem solving. According to Piaget, children progress in their thinking through the complementary process of assimilation and accommodation. Assimilation being using your existing mental structures to interpret new experiences. Accommodations being changing mental structures to explain experiences. Piaget's theory of cognitive development, or stage theory, consists of 4 different stages. Stage 1 is referred to as sensory motor. This stage applies to children aged from birth to 2 years old. In this stage, infant is developing the ability to coordinate sensory input with their motor actions. By the end of this stage, the child can use mental symbols to represent something such as a favorite toy. Stage 2 is referred to as the pre-operational period. This refers to children aged 2 to 7 years old. In this stage, the child has not yet acquired the awareness that physical quantities remain constant in spite of changes in their shape or appearance. In this stage, the child is lacking the ability to focus on one feature of a problem, to envision the reversing of that problem, and the ability to share another person's perspective or point of view. Stage 3 is called the concrete operation. This applies to children aged 7 to 11 years old. In this stage, the child can perform operations only on images of tangible objects and events. In this stage, the child has gained the ability to apply reversibility and decentration. Stage 4 is referred to as formal operation. This is applied to children aged 11 all the way into adulthood. In this stage, the child not only can apply their thoughts to abstract concepts, they have now come to enjoy the complex contemplations. Many youngsters spend great amounts of time thinking about hypothetical possibilities related to the topics of justice, love, and free will. The second section I'll be talking about is different forms of abuse children may face. Abuse can be defined as physical, verbal, or emotional maltreatment in varying levels that leave psychological wounds that may take more time to heal than other forms of injury. One form of abuse a child may face is sexual abuse. According to Pilgrim, child sexual abuse is a public health matter involving physical and psychological health, the psychological health of children. Pilgrim then goes on to reveal that up to 2% of the adult population have persistent sexual thoughts or interests involving children. Another form of abuse that children may face is physical abuse. In Japan, the prevalence of infant physical abuse at 4 months of age was 9%. Risk factors expressed in this Japanese study include young maternal age, so mothers who have gotten pregnant at a very young age, multiple births in that family, low birth weight, maternal mental disorders, and a parental history of child abuse. In the third section, I'll be talking about how these forms of abuse go on to affect the cognitive development of the child. Children who are survivors of physical abuse and neglect showed to have many cognitive barriers in their executive functions that later on in life showed to have many negative consequences. Child abuse has a much greater negative impact for children in their early developmental stages, so in their sensory motor and preoperational stages. Possible outcomes of early childhood abuse are developmental delays, learning barriers, mental disabilities, asthma, obesity, cardiovascular disease, and the list goes on. National Post wrote an article that stated more than a third of Canadians have suffered from some kind of child abuse in their lives, and that abuse has a strong correlation with mental disorders. This is according to a new national study touted to be the first of its kind in Canada. Later on in the article, it states that all types of child abuse were associated with mental disorders, including suicidal thoughts and suicidal attempts. In section 4, I'll be talking about some statistics about childhood abuse. Here it shows that 1 in 6 boys experience some form of sexual abuse before they turn 18, as well as 1 in 4 girls experience some form of sexual abuse before they turn 18. It is also shown that 90% of sexual abuse victims know their abuser. Earlier, I stated that 20% of men have had sexual thoughts of children, and 2% of adults have sexual interests involving children. It is clear that in our world, child abuse is a big problem that needs to be faced and conquered. Through educating ourselves about the issue, it is possible that we can take a step forward in fighting this battle for children to come. Thank you for listening.